Hi everyone, my name is Pam. Welcome to my channel for Goodness Keepsakes. Today I want to show you how to make this really cute macrame looking crocheted basket. And yes, this is crochet. And no, this is not a beginner's tutorial. I will warn you, even though this pattern is literally only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows all together, this is going to take some time. Working with rope and crocheting can be annoying and difficult. And on top of that, these cool stitches here, they're called Solomon knots, and they are not exactly the most beginner-friendly thing to do, although it's not to say you can't do it, but it's tricky. And remember that if I'm ever going too fast for you in the video, that there are playback speed options. You can slow me down because I can get kind of fast and carried away and not realize it, and I apologize. But I'll show you the materials that you need in a moment, but let's get started on this really cute project. So to get started, we're going to be using 4mm macrame cord. I got this big spool. I think this is like 320 some yards, and there's no way I'm going to need all of that. In fact, this spool is with having already made one of these and some other things. I'm going to be using a K hook. I forget what millimeters that is. I'll put that on the screen. And 2 metal hoops. These are 12-inch hoops because this is just what I could find. We're going to get started with the bottom. And we're going to start with leaving ourselves a decent amount of tail just because it's rope, it's weird and awkward. And we're going to make a slip knot, and we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Truly the most difficult aspect of this is that there's so much friction with this that it can be a little bit, well, it can really hurt the hands to work with. So we're going to slip stitch to the first chain to form a ring. So you'll see we've got the one we just slip stitched into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to chain 3, which is going to count as a double crochet and chain 1. If you typically chain 3 to start, you're going to want to chain 4 here, not 3. But I typically chain 2 for a double crochet. And so this is going to count as my first double crochet and chain 1. And in each of these stitches, the next 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to put 2 double crochets with a chain 1 in between every single double crochet I make. So, and I'm only going to work in the back loop. So going into this back loop here, I'm going to do a double crochet. Oh my goodness. Chain 1, and then again into the same stitch, double crochet, chain 1. Now we're going to go to the next stitch, double crochet, again, and just into the back loop is all that's necessary. I find if you work into the center loop, it's a little bit too bulky. Chain 1, and into the same stitch again with another double crochet, chain 1. Now going to the next stitch, this is the third stitch, double crochet, chain 1, same stitch again, double crochet, chain 1. Into the fourth stitch, back loop only, double crochet, chain 1, into the same stitch again with another double crochet, down so I can spool more easily. There we go. Chain 1. Now one more time into this stitch here, back loop only, we're going to double crochet and chain 1, and then do that one more time. Now since the chain 3 counts as the first double crochet and chain 1 into this last stitch after we've done a chain 1, we're going to go into this space with a double crochet just once because that chain 3 counts as the first one. So after the chain 1, we're going to join to the second chain. If you started with 4 chains here, you would join to the third, but basically just skip the one here and join to the second to last one. And this will give us 12 spokes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 12 spaces. Now, the second row, we're going to start doing I don't know what it is. Like a quadruple crochet. I don't know. You'll see. I might look it up and throw it on the screen. But I normally start by single crocheting immediately into the next stitch instead of doing, and count that as my first chain, just because it puts my stitch where I want it to be. So you don't have to do that. You can just immediately chain 5. I'm doing a single crochet into this first space and chain 4. This one chain is going to count as a chain 1, and these 3 chains plus the first single crochet is going to count kind of like a chain for start, because we're going to be yarning over 3 times. So yarn over 3 times. Now going back into the same chain space, draw up a loop and just yarn over and pull through 2 until you're back down to 1 loop on the hook. You're going to have to yarn over and pull through 2 4 times. Chain 1. Now you'll see that puts 2 of those into that space. We're going to put 2 of these into each of these spaces. So after we've done another chain 1, we're going to wrap our yarn around 3 times and go into the next space. Yarn over, pull through 2, 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 and then chain 1. Yarn over 3 times, go back into the same space, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Chain 1, go into the next space, yarn over 3 times, and then work it's like double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, I don't know, like a double. Chain 1, wrap around 3 times and work your next stitch into the same space again. 2, 3, and 4. Chain 1. See how it's coming along? See, we've put 2 of these into this space, so now we're going to work into that space. 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, pull through 2, through 2, through 2, through 2. Chain 1. 1, 2, 3. Into the same space again. Chain 1. Ta-da! See? It's coming along. Yarn over 3 times. We're now going into the next space. Chain 1. Work another stitch. I don't know what this is called. Like a quintuple? I don't know. Double, triple, quadruple, 5 something. So I've got 2 in that space, so I'm going to go to the next space now, and I'm just working in between each of these double crochet spokes. Keep getting snagged. Rope is a little tricky to work with when you're crocheting, and it really wears out the hands and wrists. But this project isn't very many rows. The challenge really is just it's just hard to work with rope. Okay, why are you being like that? Yeah. Sometimes I think part of this is that when you're working with rope, you have to kind of keep your tension just a bit looser, or you're going to be struggling. But then when you get to where you're joining this to the rings, you really do have to tighten your tension some, and finding the balance is difficult. There's 2 in there. 2, 3, 4, chain 1, 3, pull through 2 once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, chain 1. See? Now we're working into this next space. 2, 3, 4, chain 1, 1, 2, 3.
Mommy.
What?
Can I have bananas?
You already had a treat. You had some of the banana oatmeal chocolate chip stuff I made.
Can I have one of this?
You had 2, and that's enough because we gotta save what's left for Daddy to have some when he gets home.
Anybody can have some of this one?
I don't think everybody can. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
But in the meantime, if you ask nicely, Autumn can get you some milk or something.
Oh.
But you gotta sit at the table with it.
Mommy, what is that saying on Daddy's dresser?
The what thing?
This thing.
His basket?
No.
The red thing?
Yeah.
That's Daddy's medicine. It's his inhaler.
I like it. It's pretty.
Okay, but we're not going to play with it because it's medicine and we don't play with medicine, okay? I need you to get out of my room, sweetheart. I'm trying to record a video. Go watch allegories.
It's not doing it.
So we got one more space to work into.
House of cookie thing.
Oh, well then I'll take care of that in a second.
Oh boy. It stopped doing it. Yes, it is doing it.
Hold on, I gotta help the kids. So I'm about to do the last one. You can see this is our starting chain there. So I'm gonna do this last one into this space here. Getting awful crowded here. And then a chain 1. And we're not going to join to the last chain, we're going to join to the second to last chain. There we go. There's our second row. Now believe it or not, there's only one more row for the bottom, which is awesome. It's going to be similar to what we did. And again, you can do a slip stitch here and then a chain 5, or what I like to do is just immediately go into the next space with a single crochet and let that count as my sort of like my first chain, because it just kind of accomplishes both things in one smooth action. And then I just take away one extra chain. So I'll be chaining 4. And that counts as my chain 5, which would be the 4 plus 1. Because we're still going to put one chain in between each stitch, but this time we're going to put 2 in every other section. So we're going to put one more, whatever this is, triple wrapped crochet stitch here. With a chain 1. And then into this next space we're going to go, but we're only going to put 1 in this next space. And chain 1. And then we're going to move on to the next space and put 2 in there. So do a triple wrapped stitch. I have no idea what this is actually technically called, so bear with me. So that's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Chain 1, and then do another one into that same space. Chain 1. So you'll see I've got 2 in this space, 1 in this space, 2 in this space. I'm going to put 1 in this space now. So triple wrap your hook and work a stitch. Chain 1. And then we're going to do 2 of these in the next space, and we're going to keep repeating this pattern around. So chain 1 and then back into this space again with another. Then we're going to do 1 in here. Chain 1 and 2 in here. And sorry if I'm breathing heavy. It's like this is actually really exhausting on my arms and kind of a workout. If you work with rope and you're used to the friction, I'm telling you, you make it easier. It takes me a while to get back into a groove of working with rope. Keep your tension loose. Loosen your tension. It'll make it much easier. Hope that sun's not too harsh on you because I've got the setting sun coming in my window. It's really pretty from my view. Obviously this is where I do my crochet temperature blanket because that's what I've got going on underneath my project. And I don't know how I feel about my temperature blanket. I've been very disgruntled with the colors and it's been sort of killing my motivation to finish it. I'm still doing it. I'm just doing it because I'm stubborn, not doing it because I want to. I do kind of want to see the project through. I just wish the colors were different. I had somebody, oh my goodness, somebody on Instagram sent me a picture of their temperature blanket. They were doing this bloom blanket, this bloom square, but they were using my colors from last year, the blues and the yellows. Oh my gosh, it was like literally the same color palette. And it is gorgeous. It is so beautiful. And I'm like, I am legitimately jealous that I didn't think to just use the same colors. Honestly, I should have because I had them and I loved them. But I thought, oh no, I'm going to do something like this. Year's been a bad year for this blanket for me, like just in general. I already had to restart this blanket once because the yarn I had originally selected was not, the colors were great, but the yarn itself was not thick enough. And it was driving me crazy. So I've got 2 in there, 1 in there. I'm going to do 2 in the next one. Also, my original, just getting back to this project, my original that I made of this, I thought that I was actually making it a little bit too tight, and it turned out I actually made it too loose. So I'm actually doing 1 less row on this one than I did on my other one, because turns out it doesn't need all of that extra row. So like this project actually a little bit quicker than last time because it doesn't need the extra row, because it does, this rope will stretch quite a bit, especially as your kitties get in it or whatever you put in there, you know, with weight in it, it will stretch a little bit. The other thing I considered doing differently too is that I actually crochet this on normally, but I debated if it would be easier on the hands and ultimately look nicer if I did it separate. So normally I just crochet this right to the ring, but I might actually just sew it on. I don't know yet. Whatever I do, I'm going to video it and show you, because it's going to be a bit of a challenge to attach this, but I think I might do that anyways. I don't know. Just trucking along, telling you, the looser you hold your tension, the quicker this will work up, because you almost don't need to hold tight tension because there's so much friction in the rope that it almost tensions itself for you. And if you try to tension it with your hands, like I'm accustomed to doing with yarn, you actually make more drag, which will wear you out even faster. So I'm actually surprised. My kitten Moomoo really likes his basket. He's not in it all the time, but he uses it every day for sure. Like every day at some point in the day, he's in it at least once. And I didn't think he was actually going to use it. I had a feeling it was going to turn into like a fruit basket or something. Nope, that kitten loves his basket. And then I tied a little doodly dad string thing in the middle of it for him to play with, and he'll bat at it when he gets bored, or he'll take a nap. It's so cute. I'm just like, oh my goodness, he actually uses it. That's so adorable. Because I put him in it the first time and he was like, what is this? And he climbed out. And I'm like, oh, he probably doesn't like this. That's great. And then I put him in it again later and kind of like pet him while he was in there. And I showed him the string and he got excited and played with the string. And then he climbed out later. And then at one point, I think the next day, I saw him actually just laying in it. And I was like, oh, he got in it. He likes it. And he was actually sleeping in it. So he actually took a liking to his little hanging basket I made him and hung by the window. It gets kind of lopsided because it's not suspended from the ceiling. It's sort of suspended from a hook just in the window. So not exactly the greatest hanging means. Like it's not hanging the nicest way, but it works and he really likes his basket. Finally approaching the end of this row. And I've got, let's see, I did one in the previous one, so I got to put another one in here. Chain one. That means one goes in here, and this is our last stitch for this row. Woohoo! Now this is where I'm going to do things different from what I did last time. Join not to the last chain, but to the second to last chain. Now, last time I made this project, what I did was I single crocheted the last row and joined it as I went. It doesn't look like it'll fit, but you can see it definitely stretches to fit. Now, here's the problem. It's incredibly hard to hold it and stretch it and do all of that at the same time. So what I'm going to opt to do is I'm going to cut it, but I'm going to leave myself enough to sew. So that's going to be, let me see, I'm going to use my body length as a general guide, and I'm about 5.5 feet tall. So if I measure from this tip of this finger and stretch it all the way to my other hand, that's about 5.5 feet of yarn, and that should be more than enough for sewing. So I'm going to cut it there, and I'm just going to pull this. Well, actually, I'm going to do a chain one and pull it all the way through. And I will sew this on afterwards because that's going to, I think, fit better and be easier on the hands. And I'll show you how to do that once we get the other part done. But I want to do the other part before I sew the bottom one because it will be easier to work with if we just do this first. So I'm going to need one of these rings, a slip knot. And to the ring, I'm going to do... This is really cumbersome, by the way, especially when trying to do this on film, but I'm going to do a single crochet there, and I'm going to single crochet around this ring. But I will say, this is still easier than trying to crochet. I think normally I hold it this way. This is still easier than trying to crochet with attaching the other thing, the bottom to it at the same time. Once I get my groove going, this is easier. It's like I said, doing this on film is actually making this really difficult because I normally hold it upright and closer to me. Can you see here? I normally hold it like this, upright, and work it like this. And I keep snagging my own project. Oh, this is brutal. Hold it however it's comfortable for you. It's not going to be the way I'm holding it, that's for sure. And I'm not even counting it this second because I'm just trying to get stitches on there. I have no idea how many stitches we have currently. Let's see. Count by threes. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. 25. 26. 27. 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35.
I want you to count my hair.
36. Did you say you want me to comb your hair?
Yeah.
1 second. 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36. You comb hair with a brush or with a comb.
I want it cut off.
I'm not cutting your hair off. Now here's 36 stitches. We're going to do 36 more stitches, and we're going to have a total number of 72 stitches around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. If you're using a 14-inch ring, you can probably get away with the same number of stitches. But this is all together, making sure it's not twisted. This is all together 72, and believe me, this can stretch. So if you have a 14-inch ring, this will fit around a 14-inch ring as well. I'm just using a 12-inch ring right now. And making sure it's not twisted up, you can slip stitch to your first single crochet. Chain 1, and we're going to turn, so we're working on the outside. And we're going to begin our first row of Solomon knots. So Solomon knots are very interesting. It's what's going to give this project a macrame look. And it starts by pulling the loop loose. Now the key is here is you want to be able to pull your loop consistently loose. You want it to be about the same size every time. But most of the time I just eyeball this. And you want to make a really loose crochet, single crochet, but you're going to hold the bottom loop. So when you bring up your yarn to yarn over and pull through, hold that while you pull through. See? And into this space, go back in and create a single crochet. Let me show you again. Pull it loose, yarn over, pull through, go back into this space. This is between what would be technically the top loops and the bottom loop, like that. Yarn over, draw up a loop. Should look like this now. Yarn over, pull through 2. You're just single crocheting into that space you created. It's really weird, so kind of holding it and creating a little tension makes it easier to work. We're going to repeat that. So pull your loop about the same size as last time. Yarn over, pull through, and so you've got this really loose single crochet. And see, it's like, ah. That's why it helps to hold on to that bottom loop. Go in, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through. That anchors it. Now what we're going to do is count over. You can see we joined here. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on this 8th stitch, we're going to single crochet. Now we're going to pull our loop big again, yarn over, and holding that bottom loop so it stays open, we're going to pull through that big loop and immediately go in and draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And if it looks all loose and weird, just tug it and everything will straighten out. Let me do that a little slower for you. So we're going to pull our loop really loose, yarn over, hold that bottom loop. I usually keep like a finger or 2 in between so I can support everything, so that I can then insert my hook in between the bottom loop and the top loops, draw up a loop, and then just finish a single crochet there. And see how it looks kind of weird? If you tug at it, it straightens out. Again, we're going to count over and join to the 8th stitch with a single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're not counting the stitch we joined to. So after the stitch we joined to, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th stitch, we're going to single crochet. After you single crochet, we're going to repeat this again. So we're going to pull our loop nice and loose, yarn over, pull through. I like to try to keep some tension and space so I can just go right on in with a single crochet. As you get used to doing this, you'll get faster at it. Pull your loop loose again. Do another Solomon's knot. Whoop. This one's uneven, and I don't know if I care. Yeah, I care. So, there we go. You want to try to keep them as consistent as you can. Whoops. There we go. Now, starting in the next stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, into this 8th stitch, single crochet. And start again. Pull a loop loose, yarn over, pull through, go under the bottom loop, drop a loop, and single crochet to secure. Pull it loose again, about the same size, yarn over, pull through, go into that bottom loop with a single crochet, count over 8 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So pull it loose, yarn over, pull through. I like to keep fingers in between so that it keeps it separated and it's easier to do my single crochet to secure. Because you are literally just, like, think of this as a jumbo stitch. There's the top loops, there's the bottom loop, and you're just single crocheting sideways in between the two to secure it. So pull your loop loose, yarn over, pull through, go under the bottom loop with a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 into the 8th one, single crochet. Now pull it loose, yarn over, single crochet into that space, single crochet into that space. You can see if you get used to it, 3, 6, 8, you can actually work this pretty quickly. And you'll see too that these rows are actually pretty tall. So again, with one Solomon's knot, and then repeat that again. So you have 2 Solomon knots. Count over 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right here with a single crochet. Sorry, I bumped the camera. Again, pull it loose. You want to try to keep this as consistent as possible, and if it helps, have something to measure with to keep it consistent. You really want to try. Because with smaller projects, it's not so much an issue, but with this project, if it's not even, you'll notice more readily. So we've done 2 Solomon knots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right here. Now, I want to draw your attention to something. If we count 3, 6, 8, we'll be back at the beginning. Now the thing is we're working in the round, we're not working rows. So we don't want to end down here, we actually want to end at the top. So for the last one that we're going to make, we're going to do our first Solomon's love knot just like normal. Okay. But then what we're going to do is come all the way down here and work what's called an extended single crochet. So normally when you're working an extended, I'm just going to crochet in a random spot to show you. Normally an extended single crochet is you're working like you're going to do a single crochet, but then you yarn over and pull through just 1 and then pull over through 2, and that's an extended single crochet. But we're going to do it excessively. We're going to do it times like 4. So I'm going to come all the way down here and just go into this space down here where I started, draw up a loop, and I'm just going to yarn over and pull through 1 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. Isn't that fascinating? And then yarn over and pull through 2. Now, yes, that looks funny, but that's okay. That gets us to the top where we need to be. At this point, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn. So now we'll be working with the inside facing us. We're going to single crochet into the top of this stitch. All right, so we'll just right to basically into the top of the middle of this Solomon's knot that we made. We're just doing a single crochet, and we're going to do 2 Solomon knots again. So pull your loop loose, yarn over, pull through, and then do your single crochet in the space to lock it in place. Pull it loose again, work into that space. Now, instead of joining to the bottom, of course, we're going to go to the next set of Solomon knots here, and we're going to join to the middle of these loose 2 ones here. We're not going way down here, we're going to the middle of the 2 loops. And normally you do a single crochet. I actually prefer to do slip knots here usually, because I think they look a little bit tighter. So I'm just going to slip knot there, pull this loose, and start your next 2 loops. So there's 1, here's 2. And then what you're going to do is go to your next section. See, here's our next set of loops. We just worked in this pair. We're going to the next pair, and you're going to do a single crochet into this space. I'll show you what that looks like. Looks like this. Most of the time though, I just do a slip knot because I feel like it. But that's what it looks like if you do a single crochet, which is technically what you're supposed to do when you're doing this. See what's happening here? So pull your loop loose to do another Solomon's knot. Do it again. It's a lot easier when you do the next row because you don't have to count each time. You just, once you make your 2, you go to the next pair, you go into the middle with a single crochet. Just like that. Pull it loose. Do your Solomon's knot. Pull it loose. Do your Solomon's knot. Go to the middle of the next 2. Just stuff it right into the middle there. You'll have 2 loops on top, not just 1, with a single crochet. See? See, there's the one I did with the slip knot though. And I feel like it looks a little bit tighter. So, I mean, it really is inconsequential, I think. It's just my eyeballs being persnickety. So again, pull loose, do a Solomon's knot. Whoopsies. Pull loose to do another Solomon's knot. Keep getting stuck on stuff. You know what would help is if I push this camera back again. Let me push you back again. That should help a little bit. And then go into the middle of the next section. So here's the pair I just worked into, and here's the pair I'm going to work into, and there's that big gap right there. When you go underneath, you've got 2 loops on top with a single crochet, or in my case I like to do slip stitches sometimes because I'm just like that. Do another couple of Solomon knots. Go to the next pair, right into the middle with a single crochet or slip stitch. Probably single crochet would technically be better because that's the more appropriate thing to do. This is really hard and awkward to work with here. So, why don't you slide? There we go. Pull yourself a loose loop, anchor it with a single crochet. There's your Solomon's knot. Whoa! Do it again. Go to your next pair. Single crochet. Now see, we've got another pair left and then we'll be back to where we started. So we're going to do this again where we pull it loose and do a couple of Solomon's knots, but then the next time it will be different. So we're going to do our pair of Solomon's knots. And then work into this space here. And then we've only got one more set to do before this row is done. It's starting to turn into a basketball hoop. Guess you could turn this into a basketball hoop if you want to just do a couple more rows of these and you've got yourself a custom basketball hoop. So we're going to do our first Solomon's knot like normal, but then we're going to do the extended single crochet to join. So over here you'll see there's where we started. So we're just going to, we've got our one knot made. We're just going to go into that space, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1. There's once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through 2. There we go. So when you finish this row, this is what you'll have, which is hard to see, I guess, but that's what you have. And that's what you want. And that's all you need are those 2 rows. So if you survive those 2 rows, I think you probably did the hardest part. So now is kind of an easy part. We're going to turn our work. Let's grab my other ring. Our first stitch is going to get worked. It looks like a hot mess right now. But our first stitch is going to get worked into this space here. See, here's our Solomon's knot pair. We're going to work into this space with a single crochet, but before you do your final yarn over, what I want you to do is grab that yarn around the loop so that it's coming up between the loop, so that when you do your final yarn over, it's now attached. And see, now your working yarn is coming from like into the middle of the loop. It's sort of weird. Trust the process. So now we're going to single crochet around this hoop 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't even know if you can see what I'm doing. And 7. Once you've done it 7 times, look for the next top of your pair. So not this big knotted mess here, but this top part here. And you're going to go into there, draw up a loop, Make sure when you're yarning over that you don't come on this side of the hoop. You want to grab it from the inside of the hoop to do your final yarn over to pull through. It gets a little bit confusing there if you don't do that. But see, now it's attached. Now we're going to do this again. We're going to crochet 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to grab the center, not this big knotted mess, but the center of the next pair. We're going to go into here, draw up a loop, but remember, pull your loop up around on the inside of the loop before you, metal loop before you do your final yarn over. There we go. See, that's attached. See what's going on here? This is a little bit confusing. That's why this project is certainly not for beginners. It's pretty overwhelming, but it's really cool. 2, we're going to do 7 single crochets again. 3, 4, yes. 5, he wanted to watch Superbook. 6 and 7. Grab the middle of the next pair, insert your hook, drop a loop. Make sure you grab your yarn from inside the ring when you do your final yarn over and pull through 2 so that it's wrapped around the loop. We're getting there. 7 more single crochets. 1, 'whoopsies, I'm stuck on some string. 2, 3, I'm losing my sun, and this rope doesn't want to come off nicely. 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to pull up the next pair, insert our hook. Whoops, we want to be under both loops. There we go. Draw up your loop, yarn over on the inside of the ring, not on the outside, on the inside of the metal ring. Pull through 2. 1, that was pretty tight. 2, I'm losing my sunlight. 3, sun's going down. 4, 5, 6, 7. Pull up the next one. Make sure you're under both. Make sure you're working around the ring. There we go. 7 more. 1, 2. Can you even see what I'm doing? I keep scooting back and I don't know where my camera is. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And people, this is the part where I'm sure somebody who can macrame would be like, this is so much easier if you just macrame it. I don't know, maybe, but I don't know how to macrame and I know how to crochet, so for me this is easier just because I know what I'm doing. And it has a distinct look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Grab the center of the next pair. Pull that through. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. Ooh, I'm getting tangled in myself. 6, 7. Grab the center of the next one. And this is where it gets kind of tricky because your yarn's on the inside, but we only got 7 more to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to join. You gotta be kind of careful because the these are all those chains that go to that last bit. We're going to join to the first single crochet right here. Like that. Cut, leaving a tail that you can tie with. And then we're going to sew the bottom one. But you can see it's like, oh, great. But then when you lift it, oh, great. And we're going to fish in some of these tails. Now, my favorite tool for this job, funny enough, is my my hair needle, because it's got a nice big hole, and it the rope can get snagged down in that section where it doesn't just slide right out. But we're just gonna fish this into these stitches. So I'm just gonna go under here, through here, come up here, come down here. Maybe one more pass, and trim off the excess. You can glue these down too, which I also recommend. It's really nice to glue down. Now the nice part is doing it this way, you can pick which side you want to be your top and which side you want to be your bottom. So pick whichever side you want to be top and which side you want to be bottom. I think I will just make the bottom. It don't matter. It really doesn't matter. Just pick which side you prefer. Grab your bottom piece and grab your needle. You can use a regular gigantic tapestry needle for this. It's like I said, this hair needle is something I actually already have, and it works so well with this because down here it gets really taut, and but it also pops right out so that I can work pretty easily without too much slipping. Anyhow, so I'm actually going to keep this super simple. I'll start by looping this through the section here so that it's already there. And then I'm actually going to bring this through in line with the bottom of one of these Solomon knots. Make sense? And sew that there, see? And then what I'm going to do is just to keep this simple, because there's 8 stitches here and 4 sections per 8 stitches, I'm going to be going, I'm just going to do a whip stitch. So I'm going to come back around and through here, skip a stitch, and go through the next stitch. Make sense? And I'm just, like I said, I'm going to do a whip stitch. So I'm always going to be working from inside to out. I'm going to go through the next section, skipping one and going here. This is my 3rd time now. Through here, skip a stitch, go here. This is my 4th. Make sure you don't repeat because, see, I went through here last, so I'm going to go through here next and skip a stitch on here. And I'm going to keep pulling this. I want to make sure that this stays tight while I do this. I want this to be as tight as possible. So through the next section, skip a stitch. 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 This area is kind of funny because that's where I started, so it's a little bit confusing to look at. Next section, skip a stitch. 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 This does not look like it's going to fit. It will. Next section and skip a stitch. Next section, 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 skip a stitch. Next section. Make sure you don't snag your lower stitches. That would be bad. That would make you very sad. Next section, don't grab the bottom stuff. Skip a stitch. See, we can pull that nice and tight. And this is where, finally the friction is our best friend, because it's helping hold all of this tight, where if this was yarn, this would be constantly slipping loose and really annoying. And you really could work this where you just go from here to doing single crochets around here, which is actually what I did the first time I made this. But I'm telling you, believe me when I say sewing is a lot easier than trying to crochet this thing tight and onto there. It's such a pain. Yeah, my floor is wet, and I speculate some child is to blame for it. Skip a section. Or not skip a section, skip a stitch. Next section, skip a stitch. Now, I'm playing yarn chicken here, or I guess rope chicken in this case. Do I have enough rope to finish this? But look at that. I gotta untwist this rope. Whoop! It's getting all kinked up. Next section, skip a stitch. Also, the smart thing to do would be to actually work this around the actual whole thing, but believe me, these stitches will hold this. It'll be fine. And if you find it droops after some wear and you want it to be tighter again, you can literally redo this. Just take some rope and just grab everything, and you can actually pull that a little bit tighter yet. So that section's joined, right? Yep, that one's joined. So this one, skip a stitch. Sure I didn't snag anything. I don't think I have. Last section, last stitch. Or is it? I guess technically not, because I think I need to technically go through here and here. And look at that. It's attached. Now believe me when I say that was easier than trying to crochet that on and holding all that tension while working with this incredibly obnoxious rope with so much friction. So then I'm just going to tie a knot. So I'm going to create a loop, go through that, pull that snug, go through here, pull that snug, and then I'm just going to work this back and forth. Whoops, I snagged the middle of that. Whoop. And just kind of go back and forth through here. Now the nice part is too, is that this, because this is made with rope, you're hanging, to hang this, you only really need to thread some rope through it, and that's about it. And that really depends on how tall you want it to hang, how short you want it to hang, where you're hanging it from. You can even change what you're hanging it with. That's up to you. I think this is probably overkill, so I can probably stop doing this now. I like how the second I say I can stop, I get stuck. So we're going to snip that short. The only other thing I want to do is fish this tail in, although I have gotten the idea before where you could, if you wanted to be really cutesy, is bring this down along with some others and do one of those like little tassels hanging off of here. So you can use this as like to tie the tassel on and have a tassel, maybe some beads and a tassel hanging off the bottom, and tie it off with this. I am not doing that because I'm out of time anyways, but that's an idea. So you would create your tassel, but this would be the one that loops around the top of the tassel, and then you'd have string that ties the center of the tassel to it, you know, etc. Kitties love that, so it would kind of function like a little toy for the kitty. But I'm not doing that. I'm just going to work this tail in. See, I really like this needle for this. And this is actually going to cinch up the center just a little bit more too. See? Look at that. See, it's even more closed. Cut that real short. Done with that. So you can just take lengths of rope however long you need it, fish it through. You can tie it to one side and tie it to the other, tie it from this side to this side, and just whatever, you know, however you want to put this up. I think my other one I did crochet some, but honestly I feel like that was pretty overkill because this rope is pretty strong just as it is. Use about a 3-foot length and tie it on each side like this, and do the same thing like this, probably about a yard's worth. And to make it consistent in size, I'm going to fold it in half, cut the end, and then cut the center. So I've got 2 strings the same length, and just tie them to the 4 corners. Put this over here, grab this, pull it through, tie a really simple knot, and then over to the other side, just come straight across and just tie a knot there as well. There's one, and then do it the other way. So just tie a knot over here. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you want this to look really pretty, just chain right off of the project with your rope and your crochet hook, but I'm lazy. So straight across, which will be over here where this knot is, which for this one I would... Where did I put my crochet hook? There it is. And I can trim that pretty short. Like this. I'm going to grab like approximately an 8-foot section of rope and grab these. So that's hanging on the section of rope. And then what I do is grab this and just tie a simple knot. So you see I've got a knot here, and whoop, so look at that. And I like to leave this loose enough so that it can be kind of like adjusted. And it will go wonky if you do that, but I like that because when I hang this up, I hang this pretty close to a wall, and if this wasn't allowed to give, it would look like this, but this enables me to level it off. See what I mean? So it actually will sit like that, but then I can just straighten it. So I do like having that, and then what I do with this rope is I have one loose knot up there, so this is all one big loop. I tie a series of knots every so many inches down. I don't make it scientific, but I do that so that depending on where I hang it, I have different lengths, and whatever excess is hanging down, the cat likes to try to attack. So I don't go too close to the bottom because obviously I want to have that give. But my kitty absolutely loves this little hanging basket. I made one with him in mind. Look, this is after making 2 of these and doing other things with this cord, I still have this much macrame cord, so it really does not take a whole lot. This is like a 328 yard spool, I think, of macrame cord, and I still have all of this left. I could probably still make a few more of these if I wanted. I just need some rings. I hope that this was really easy for you to follow. If not, I apologize. I know it's tricky. No, I do not have the pattern written down, but because of the weird nature of this, I'm really, especially since I don't know exactly what some of these stitches are actually called, like, what do you call an extended single crochet that's like 4, I don't know. But if you found any part of this video particularly challenging, or if you'd like to see me do the Solomon's knot much slower, or if there's a section that has you a bit baffled, just let me know, because I can make a short just for you to show you or try to help you in some way or other. I'm not always the greatest at giving tutorials because sometimes I take information for granted, or I just move way too fast, and so I apologize if this was challenging because of me. But I hope you were able to have success with this. This would really make a cute fruit basket, or like I said, my kitty loves this thing. He sleeps in his like every single day, and I have it hanging by the window. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with this one. Maybe give him another window basket somewhere. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope each of you have a blessed day.